How many people are on?
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Diane Hayden and Marianne Costerella with How to Thrive in These Changing Times, What Your Soul is Calling You to Do Now. So we thought today that we would do a little bit of a sort of cleanup, wrap up, and answer any questions that people have, do a little review of the karma cards. I know we had sent an email out and asked people to send questions in, and also certainly, you know, we can go through, if there's new people on the call, their karma cards, and talk about if you know anyone in your circle of family or friends who is either your karma card or you're their karma card. We could certainly, you know, get into discussions about how those interactions have gone and what the meaning of it might be. So I know that Sheila had sent some information in for us, and she is on the call. So Sheila, if you want to unmute yourself, and we can talk a little bit about your questions, and then we'll go from there. If anybody has questions, they can just type into the chat box if they want to know their karma cards, or if they want to know people in their lives' karma cards. Marianne can go through the birthdays of those. Mm-hmm. So we can start there.
Okay. So
Sheila, you want to go ahead?
Sheila?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes. Well, what I was reflecting on was that I have people that are really close to me in my whole 74 years. The ones that are really close are either Sagittarius, like myself, or Scorpios, and they're so different. The Scorpion person is more serious, more intense. And I was wondering, what kind of lessons am I supposed to learn from this? And why the attraction all the time to these two signs? What did I come into this life for, to learn from these people?
Well, I certainly would say, off the top of my head, in terms of the difference between Scorpio and Sagittarius, as you know, they're right next door to each other. And what one has, the other lacks, so to speak. So the intensity, the seriousness, possibly the depth that Scorpio goes to in terms of their own innate nature, maybe something that Sagittarius really would like to have a little more of, so to speak. Because Sagittarius, on the other hand, is a lighter energy. It's a more fiery energy. It likes to look at the glass as half full all the time. Very optimistic, smile, you know, basically the smilers of the zodiac. They represent friendship. So they're very easy to connect with. Where Scorpio is certainly a lot more, I would say, distant. They're distant on some level from themselves as well. And there's a sense of mystery about them, a sense of the fact that they may be sitting on a lot more information than they care to let you know about. So they're, you know, that unknown quality of them, or that mysterious quality of them, is attractive. You can automatically be drawn to that. But part of the reason you as a Sagittarius may be drawn to it, and I don't know your astrological birth chart, I would have to have the year and all that to look all of that up, but it's something we cannot do right now. But it may be that you have Scorpio planets in your astrological chart. And so therefore you would naturally be drawn, like let's say your Venus or your Mars is in Scorpio, you might be drawn to a Scorpio person, you know, attracted to them, drawn to them sexually. That's all very possible. And it's very possible when your sign is right next door to the other person's sign. So Scorpios could have Sagittarius in them. Sagittariuses could have Scorpio in them. So there may be that. And then again, like I said, there's also that aspect of, I mean, Scorpios are attractive people. They have a magnetism that I think speaks more to, as I said before, their mystery. and their unknown, their unwillingness to divulge who they really are. And because of that, you know, actually I could speak to that. I was married to 2 Scorpios. 2 of my children are Scorpios. The other 2 have moon in Scorpio. Both mother-in-laws were Scorpios. All of my boyfriends have been Scorpios.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, there is a draw. There is a draw. There is a, you know, and the draw is usually, what do I need to learn about myself, as you asked? You know, so what is it that I'm not maybe particularly in touch with about me? What do I keep from myself? What do I want to learn more about? You know, in my very effervescent quality of smiling all the time and being friends with people all the time, what's underneath that? What do I, you know, what am I not getting in touch with? Like, so the friendly energy is on top, but what do I really want to know on a deeper level about myself? And maybe this Scorpio person is bringing it up. Now, you sent an email to Diane. I took a quick look at it. And certainly I can't go through all of them, but I can tell you your karma cards. So the card that you owe is the 3 of Hearts. That's the card that you have to give to. And 12/19, which was one of the dates that you wrote about in your email, their second card is the 3 of Hearts. So you owe 12/19 some karma, okay? 12/19 is the Queen of Hearts and the 3 of Hearts. So there's karma there. 11/14, you share a card with. I know that birthday well. It's my daughter's birthday and an ex-boyfriend of mine. So there's a Queen of Clubs card there. So you are the Queen of Clubs. Your birthday, you are the Queen of Clubs. So you share a card with 11/14. So that would also create a very strong connection between you and that person because you share a card.
Marianne, can I just jump in and
yes.
ask a quick question about that?
Yes.
So, do you find that sometimes, so let's say 2 people share a card, do you find that sometime and there should be like a really strong connection? Have you seen situations where that connection is felt much stronger by one person than the other person? Because there's a couple of people that I share a card with, and I understand why I have a strong connection to that person, but and this just happens to be a girlfriend of mine. But sometimes I feel like my connection to her is much stronger than her connection to me, even though we share a card. And I'm just wondering, is it because I look for those things? Like I'm more, you know, I get it because I study the cards. I know that I have a connection to her, and thus, you know, but just the knowledge of that maybe. Whereas she's, I'm not going to say she's not into metaphysics. She thinks it's very fascinating, but she doesn't study it. You know, she doesn't look for it. So I'm just wondering if sometimes do you see situations where the connection is more one-sided, maybe?
I mean, I don't know if I see that because I'm not necessarily inside each body of the I'm trying to think off the top of my head, people that I know. My middle daughter and her husband, he is the Queen of Clubs. She's the 6 of Clubs, Queen of Clubs. I think it would have, so they have a strong connection because she shares that Queen of Clubs card with him. So I think it probably has to do with a lot of other variables, like what are the 2 astrological signs of the people? Where is the card? Is it your first card and their second card? Is it their first card and your second card? Like, how is the relationship, you know, connected through the cards? So, you know, I think, and it depends on the perception of the person who's in the relationship. What's the relationship about? There's so many variables, I guess, is probably my easiest way of answering that. And you know, you may be more in touch with the relationship aspects because you know more about the metaphysics of it. So therefore you're feeling a stronger connection. Can you give me an example? Like, is it this particular person that you want to know about, or?
Oh, when you mentioned the fact that two people shared a card and there should be a really strong connection, that's the question. That was the question I had. So I get what you're saying. She's a Capricorn, I'm an Aquarius. There's huge differences there, I think.
Okay, but let me stop you right there. Your Venus is in
Capricorn. I was going to say that.
So you're drawn to her. Okay, so that's not even the cards there. You know what I mean? Where she may not have a Venus in Aquarius.
Right.
Okay. Like you and I, you have Venus in Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn. I have Venus in Aquarius, you're an Aquarius. So the mutuality of the connection would go both ways.
Exactly.
But I don't know about hers.
Right.
You know, so that could be.
We're both 4 spades, and that's exactly what it is, I think. So it's not, yes, we have a connection via the cards, but it's the astrological sign that I think makes that difference.
That's right. And if you have the exact same card, also, that can also be a challenging connection, oftentimes. So if she is the 4 of spades, that's her first card, that would be a challenge. I mean, on some level. Because you'd see the positive aspects of the 4 of spades that you love about yourself, and then you may see some of the aspects, or she may see some of the aspects that she doesn't love about herself in you. So usually a same card connection is not a great connection for marriage or compatibility or whatever. There's usually more of a, I don't know, a competitiveness, or one feels threatened by the other slightly, and that may also have to do with, you know, gee, Diane has aspects of myself that she's worked on, and I haven't worked on those aspects, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Sheila's laughing, so I think she connected with something there.
Right. Oh yeah. No, this was
Here's the Sag.
that was interesting. That was fun. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we're mirrors, you know, relationships are mirroring. The issue is, what are they mirroring? You know, are they mirroring that, you know, we can look in the mirror and see a pimple on our forehead. How obsessive do we want to get about that pimple? I mean, I think it's the same thing in a relationship. Obviously, you need to learn how to learn from whatever that other person is teaching you about yourself. You know, and they're all opportunities for unconditional love. So am I going to let that fault in you go? Because I'm also going to let that fault in myself go, and learn to, you know, learn to live with it, learn to recognize that I'm not perfect, all of those things. You know, so I think it's, you know, on today is a perfect day to talk about that, because it's a day of unconditional love, and that's really what we're all here learning. So people are going to give us lessons in that all the time, every day. But usually the lesson is about ourselves. We think the lesson is about the other person, but it's not. It's really usually about us. So absolutely, yeah. Just very briefly, I will say last Sunday, Mother's Day, I got in a Zoom call with all my children, and very quickly, I just want to say this very quickly, but here's a lesson about myself. One of my daughter's husbands and 2 little boys were not on the call. And at one point I said to her, you know, so where's Jeff? And she said, oh, he went to his mom's house to go visit, you know, his mom and family, and he took the boys with them, and it was all a Mother's Day present for me, you know, because I get to spend the day alone. So instead of me thinking, oh, well, for a brief minute, I thought, oh, that's really nice. But then the other part of me was like, well, he didn't say Happy Mother's Day to us. He didn't say Happy Mother's Day to me. He didn't say Happy Mother's Day to his sister-in-law who just had a baby a month ago. And I'm like in this whole, where is he? What have I done that must have alienated him that he's not saying Happy Mother's Day to me? And that's where I went, down the rabbit hole, down, completely down, until I recognized that night when I was talking to my youngest daughter that I realized what it was about. I have 4 children. One of them, of course, was not on the call because I haven't seen him in 6 years. And he's born in the same year that my son-in-law, who wasn't on the call, was, and so it was like my son-in-law represented the son that I haven't seen in 6 years. And so in that moment, I went into this rabbit hole of, what have I done? Why is he mad at me? Why didn't he show up? Okay. And that was about me and my son. That really was not about me and my son-in-law. But the lesson for me was, no, you're not a bad person. You're not, but we go into this, the lesson actually about my son is, he's probably the biggest teacher of all of my children. You're powerless, Mom. You're powerless. You got to let it go. You're powerless. So, I just share that because I think it's a relationship issue, but we project a lot of that stuff onto other people, and it's our own stuff. So I just wanted to take that moment.
I would also say, Marianne, that his decision to not be on the call is about him, not you.
Right. But yes, but that's not where that Capricorn in me goes.
Right.
It goes to, oh, you bad little girl, but but he represented my son, both born in the same year, which I find, and my son is the Jack of clubs and he's the queen, my son-in-law is the Queen of clubs. And it's this feeling of, they're in the royal court and, what did I do wrong? And I must have not loved him enough, or he must not respect me enough. And that really is about me and my son. That's really not about my son-in-law. So I just thought it was a quick way to say, we're in relationships with people today, no matter who they are, that are in many ways reenacting relationships that we've had in the past with other people. And we have to figure out what those lessons are about, what it is that we're still learning from these current relationships that we maybe didn't finish from earlier in our lives, or possibly even from past lifetimes. So just some stuff to share. Yep.
Sheila, did you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're very
Yeah,
welcome.
that was interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Awesome.
Good.
Okay, so this is from Beverly, and
Mhm.
she says, this is about my brother and I, who talk and see each other infrequently. My birthday is March 21st, and my receiving karma card for my planetary card is 3 of Spades, which is my brother's birthday, March 7th. How would you interpret this? What do you think I have to learn from him?
Okay, so her receiving card from her second card from the 6 of diamonds is the 3 of spades, correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you're receiving from him. So the energy is flowing in your direction. Let me just take a look at his second karma card. So he's March 7th, so he's a Pisces. And 3 of spades, 7 of spades. So he's all spades. The 3 of spades energy is about, they can be very artistic, they're very talented. It is called the artist card. So they also are very capable of working 2 jobs at once, or being able to split their talents or the attentions between maybe a day job and then some sort of artistic, musical, kind of right brain, left brain job on the other end. They can also be extremely stressed out if they don't handle that energy well. In terms of what he's giving to you, the 2 of diamonds, which is your birth card, and the 6 of diamonds is, it's a very, what do I want to say? It's an adult, you're the adult, he's the old person, he's the old soul. And you're maybe perhaps very logical, up in your head, rational. And he may be trying to show you that as the 3, he wants to experience more. So he may be trying to show you there's more to life than just, I don't know, whether it's, I'm not sure what your particular interests are, Bev, but you know, a lot of times the 2 diamonds can be up in their head a lot, very logical, possibly very financially responsible, focused on money or materialistic type of goals and ambitions. And he may be a little bit more of the artist, and the guy that is more, you know, into his feelings and emotions. So he's a Pisces, you're an Aries. There's a huge discrepancy there between both energies. He may offer you more of a go with the flow kind of. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't have to decide. You can be more flexible about things. Sometimes the 3 is open to new adventures and new ideas, new experiences. I don't know. Does any of that resonate, or what?
Well, it's funny because my brother is a doctor who is a great writer, and he did a lot of creative writing through the years.
Huh.
And yes, he has this stress between being a doctor and earning a living and wanting to do something else. And he doesn't handle that well at all. He's also a psychiatrist, and he's really into feelings, but he's not honest about his own feelings. So
Right.
I'm
Well,
the one. It's
that's
funny.
really
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that's interesting because he's a Pisces. So there's the emotional sensitivity that he has, and he's a double spade. So he's capable of going to the depths with other people, obviously, or helping people find their own depths. But of course, you know, as most people in the field, including myself, may not admit to their clients or to their patients, that when you're helping somebody from the other side of the desk, you're also obviously enlightening yourself about your own issues, if you choose to look at it that way. You know, if you choose to go there and say that this person is working with me so that I can learn about unconditional love, or I can learn about flexibility, or whatever the case may be. So when you say he's not open with his own feelings, that's those water signs. They're extremely, what do I want to say, very emotional, a lot of sensitivity, but because they have so much sensitivity, they're really afraid to open to it because they're afraid they're going to get hurt by other people who are not quite as sensitive. So that may be, you know, that may be a piece of it. You know, would you say you're more linear than he is? Go ahead.
That's the funny thing. I'm not really sure. See, I'm a mix. That was my painting that I just held up. So,
oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I'm an artist I'm the one with the left brain, right brain conflict also for years. You know, like I was a math major. I got an MBA in accounting, but I have a master's in art history, and now I'm an artist. So what you said about him resonated for me.
Interesting.
And my cards, I read my cards, and you had once read them on the call about my financial abilities, and I had said to you, oh, well, that's good because I have to settle my mother's estate.
Right, exactly.
And it's been a mess, but a part of me doesn't like my cards because it's the wheeler dealer card. It's you know, it's very linear, logical, and yet here I am trying to paint, and I sell paintings, and it's
Wow.
not all fitting together for me. Although my paintings, as you can see, they're very realistic, down to earth. I can't seem to do abstract paintings. Yeah.
So,
hey,
I mean,
I was just going to say,
ahead.
Beverly, have you thought about doing art for your brother's books?
No.
That just came to me. I mean, that's a way that the two of you could collaborate. He's the writer. I totally see that with 3 of Spades. I mean, I think that that's part of what he's supposed to be doing. And you can do design.
Well,
Hmm.
maybe that's down the road. It's not going to happen now. But I can't, he bugs the hell out of me. Excuse me for saying that. But I mean, like right now, we're in conflict, and I try and manage it. I'm not doing so well with it. But you know, I don't know. I looked at these cards and I thought, well, maybe I should be having a relationship with my brother, you know, because I really,
Well, don't forget, he's your karma card, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so, you know, that's going to be an irritating energy on some level. And, you know, you have so you have 3 of spades energy in you, which then speaks to your ability to exercise right brain, left brain. So because you are also, it's like I was saying about myself being a king of diamonds a couple of weeks ago. I'm not the king of diamonds, but I have that king of diamonds energy in me. So therefore, I mean, I'm utilizing it to have my own business. So you have 3 of spades energy in you, even though it's your brother's card, it is also your karma card. So that means you would be manifesting it. And maybe as the, as the person who, are you older than he is?
yes, by 2
Okay.
years.
All right. So, I mean, you may be modeling what he would like to really be able to do, but it sounds like he has more of a difficult time flexing his artistic muscles, you know, getting out of being a doctor and handling that. And that's the challenge of this 3 of spades, is it's a very stressed out card, because they're given all these abilities, but they're always torn between which do I use, who am I going to be? And so now he has the sister who obviously is expressing his karma on some level, because his karma is the 3 of spades, and you're expressing it by being both the artist and the accountant, right?
Yeah, and he actually hasn't said it in a long time, but he did say it a couple years back. He said, you're so lucky, you're an artist, you're doing what I want to do. And right. I thought that was interesting. That's basically what you're saying.
Absolutely. The other issue is that being a Pisces, remember I said, the symbol of the fish is swimming upstream and swimming downstream. So even though they have inherently all this artistic ability and nature to them, they're always in a state of emotional confusion about how to manifest it. So they begin to manifest it and then they don't. And then they're upstream and then they're downstream. And then there's all this, like, you know, it's not a, the only word I can come up with is it's not a phallic energy. It's actually we just went into Mars, and Mars just went into Pisces a couple of days ago, which essentially means that, you know, our energy right now is not going to be as forceful or aggressive or determined over the next month or 2. It's in the sign of the water, the fish again, which means
I'm sorry, I couldn't
sensitive.
hear that. I couldn't hear what you just said because the line cut out. Would you mind going back another sentence?
Okay, so I said that Mars in Pisces, you know, is not as an aggressive or determined energy. It's the sign, we're back in the water again with Mars. Mars does not like Pisces. Mars likes Aries. Mars likes to get up and go, let's go do this, let's get this thing done. And Pisces is like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Let me have another cup of tea and dream on. Okay, so Pisces is more, you know, it's watery. It's not sure whether it's swimming up the stream or down the stream. So although his energy may be hugely artistic, he has a difficult time making a decision about which part of him he'd like to express. He's been a doctor for most of his life, and maybe now he'd like to, you know, possibly. So he's letting you do the expression of it, and I don't know, he's observing that. Hopefully one day it will give him the freedom. You know, doesn't feel free to let go of one and choose the other.
It's interesting when you look at my whole family, you know, I mapped out everybody's cards, and he's the only one with any spades. Like, we're a lot of diamond family, lots of diamonds here. And, but my daughter is a 7 of spades. She's the scientist, he's the doctor. That's her birth card, is a 7 of spades. And it's interesting because she really never even knew him until a couple years ago. She went out to California and they had dinner together, and they clicked on some level. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wow, that's 7 of spades. The spade card is there. It's the only one in the family. The 2 of them have spades.
Okay, so back to the end, and I were talking about he and she share a card. Not only the spades, but his second card is the 7 of spades. First card is the 3 of spades, and his second card is the 7. So he shares a card with your daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes a very strong connection. Can be scientifically. What birthday 7 of spades is your daughter?
April 1st.
So she's the Aries. Like mom, right?
I'm sorry, the connection's cutting out. Can you ask again?
I said, so she's the Aries, like
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
Yeah, like you.
Yes.
Right. Right. Okay. So interesting.
And she's, you know.
Pisces or somebody compatible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
don't know.
guys hearing me?
You're going in and out. It looks like your internet connection's a little unstable. So there's a few times where it gets a little choppy.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I hear it at the same time. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I'm all plugged in, but I don't know how to fix it.
Especially when you're saying all these profound things and I couldn't hear them.
Well, I think the most important is that they share a card and that you're expressing his karma.
All right.
Okay, that's probably right now what's going on. And so maybe he's learning from you as opposed to you learning from him. You know, I would have to look at all the connections much more depthfully to figure out where the energy is flowing mostly between the 2 of you. But he's the old soul.
He's the old soul?
Yeah.
I was going to say the energy isn't flowing. That's like, it feels like it's stuck, if you know what I mean.
Right. So that may be due to family dynamics. You know, I don't know. I'd have to explore that more. If I were to work with you individually, I could take a look at it in a better way than right now. You know.
Well, this brings up a general question for everyone. Is like when it says you're a receiving card, but basically you're saying that you receive it and you have some of the energy. But when you're giving can a receiving card really be a giving card ever?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that there is giving in, receiving, and vice versa. So, you know, whatever he's getting from you, you know, there's an exchange of energy. I mean, he's receiving, let me see, he is to your 6 diamonds. So it's just your planetary ruling cards where the energy is being exchanged. Yes, there can be, to answer your question, yes, there can be giving and receiving in that exchange of energy. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and that led to just a general question as I look at all of these. It's like when a person has like a birth card, right? And someone else has a karmic card, or like you have different permutations. I didn't know how to write this, so I didn't. But, you know, like someone will share a planetary card and a birth card, and then someone else shares a karmic card. Like all these cards keep repeating in my family, you know, but they're on all different, in different positions. So,
Right.
I mean, and yes, I will have a reading with you. I see that coming.
Right.
But I just wondered, when you map all this out and you see all these cards repeating, but they're in different places, what does that tell you in general?
I mean, you know, again, I'd have to have a lot more information about the family dynamics, what's going on. I mean, it tells me that there's connections and that you're all together for a karmic reason. But, you know, that's another soul map that I could do, is to look at what the love connections are in the family. So is he is he a karmic lesson card to you? Are there, there's a lot of different descriptive relationships that come under the heading of love cards, not so much destiny cards. So, you know, it's intricate, Bev, and you know, it just tells me that there are connections right now, but I don't, you know, obviously we don't have the time, and we're on a call with everybody else, so I wouldn't really be able to go into all of that. But in general, to answer your question, it just tells me that there is a reason that your family has come together, and to make, it's like doing a genealogram in a family, trying to make a connection between, you know, mother, father, great grandmother, you know, there's so many different intricate and past life connections, or ancestral connections between people. And, you know, it's complicated, it's comprehensive. So that's what it tells me.
Bev, for me, when I have the readings done with Marianne, it's helped me in my relationships with certain people that I've struggled with. You know, for example, my mother and I butt heads a lot. And so it's really helped me understand, when I look at her cards and my cards, it's helped me understand, like, her life path, who she is, what did she come here to do? Why does she react a certain way? You know, when we argue about something, when I was younger, I guess my gut reaction would be to just be like, oh, why does she think that way? You know, like, why can't she be more like me? Well, she didn't come here to be like me. Like, that's the whole lesson for me, is she is a different person, and I need to understand every time she presents something, it's my opportunity to react in a different way, you know, in a more evolved way, in a compassionate way, in a more loving way, to appreciate who she is, what she came here to experience. I mean, she's had a lot of loss. She's a 9 of clubs. She's had a lot of loss in her life, and she can be very like frustrated and angry about that, and pain. And I'm, you know, I just look at it in a different way, but she can't see it that way. So that is frustrating for me. But I understand that she came here to experience that. So that helps me relate to her better than just getting angry with her and being like, oh, she doesn't understand, and why is she being this way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, because even from what Marianne said about my brother today, you know, I think I'm going to interact with him differently already, you know.
Right. Yep. That's awesome to hear, because to me, that makes me feel like, oh my God, you know, like, if one person on this call was affected in a way that can change a relationship in a positive way, that's why we do this. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think, to come back to you, and this is a general statement for everybody on the call, including myself and Diane, you know, what is it that your brother is teaching you right now? I mean, this stuckness, so how are you contributing to the stuckness? You're powerless over how he's contributing to it. But as we started this call, and today being the day of unconditional love, how are you contributing to that? And what would you need to unglue your energy? I mean, would it be a reach out? Would it be a, hey, I recognize we're in a stuck place right now, and I would really like to change that because I do love you, and I realize that some of the things that you bring up in me are things that I'm working on myself, or that sort of thing, you know. So I think to start there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense.
Awesome. Okay.
I bet he would receive it well. He's a Pisces, and actually, so one more quick coincidence here. Today, the moon is in Pisces. So we're kind of stuck in this place, but actually this place thematically represents what this whole day is about, which is unconditional love. So the moon is in Pisces, which is a perfect place of love. And, you know, like yesterday morning, I started my day with my Aries daughter who has a huge job, and I hardly ever hear from her all the time, whatever. And how I started my day was I got out of the shower, and there was a text from her saying, hey, Mom, I just tried calling you. All I really wanted to say was that I love and miss you very much. And I thought immediately, of course, this is what I do. I said, oh, of course, the moon is in Pisces, and her Mercury is in Pisces. So she's communicating in a Piscean, sensitive, warm sort of way, even though she is an Aries. She still is like saying, I just want to let you know that's the only reason I called. And so here we are today, the moon is in Pisces and Mars is in Pisces. So the energy is for all people to expand that big red heart that we see on front lawns every day that we drive by. And I wonder, oh, it's a pretty heart that's on your front lawn. If I opened your door, would I feel the same way? You know, so that's the issue. Is my is my living room saying the same thing as my front lawn is saying? You know, am I congruent emotionally with what I'm putting out there? You know, just some thoughts. So I have to work on my own heart in that way, but I think it's really, that's where we need to come from on this heart day, is from the heart, get out of the head and move this energy forward, because if nothing else, that's what the pandemic, I believe on a spiritual level, is asking from all of us. So anyway, that's
Okay.
I just got off my soapbox.
That was awesome. Awesome.
Thank
All right,
you.
Beth, thank
Yeah.
you for the questions.
Thank
So you're welcome. So Karen was not with us last week, so she wants to know what her karma cards are for July 1st.
Yes. So for July 1st, obviously you are the Ace of Spades. You owe the 7 of Hearts. So interesting. So we cannot get off the 7 of Hearts today,
I
because
can't figure out
today is
how
a
to turn this
7 of
off.
Hearts day, right? So you owe the 7 of Hearts, and you receive from the 2 of Clubs. That's your Ace of Spades. And then the 3 of Diamonds owes the 6 of Hearts, and it receives from the Queen of Diamonds, which would be Diane.
Am I fulfilling that, Karen? She's got herself muted.
Well, oh,
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can unmute her. You're mute, Karen, you're muted. Maybe she's muted for a reason. Oh, there you go.
Yes, is the answer.
Okay.
You are fulfilling that. Yes. Actually, no, I'm receiving from you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Are there any birthdays in your life that you specifically wanted to know about, if there's any karma or anything?
Yes, actually, October 21st.
October
And-
21st. Okay. Yep. Go ahead. And the other one?
September 28th.
Okay. October 21st, no karma card issues with. That's the Ace of Clubs and the 10 of Spades. And September 28th is the 9 of Hearts and the 5 of Diamonds. No. So there are no karma card issues between any of those. No.
So that's
So karma is where you owe and the other person owes you.
okay.
Right. But I'm trying to think in terms of birthdays that you owe. I mean, like Diane and I had talked about last week, and briefly just to go over it, is doesn't only just mean the card, the person whose birthday is that card. It also means that you can owe the experience. So the Ace of Spades owes unconditional love as an experience in this lifetime. So the Ace of Spades has to work on loving self and others unconditionally and dropping its expectations about how other people are supposed to be or are supposed to show up in your life. That's essentially what the Ace of Spades is about. I mean, it's a very strong energy. It's a very, competent card. Materialistically, financially, it's an ace. It's got a lot of Aries energy in it. It's a lot of get up and go. And in that process, it may get, somewhat cocky about how it thinks it is as opposed to how other people are. So the lesson is to drop back and, just get into heart again, because the Seven of Hearts is saying we're all here for the same reason, which is how to learn to love others unconditionally. And again, this dog of my daughter's, it's like the dog was not good looking, the dog was not well behaved, the dog, all of the above. I mean, really, she was a difficult dog to love. Even those who are dog lovers, she was difficult. And my daughter did it for 15 years. She could have easily not done it. So the tears in her don't only come up for the dog, but they can't come up for that part of her that may have difficulty with unconditional love in other areas of her life. But with this dog, she didn't have that difficulty. Mm-hmm. So I think that it speaks to all of us. It's the lesson that we're all here. I think the Seven of Hearts is a universal love lesson for the entire planet right now. I think it's a pandemic lesson. That's really what I think Spirit wants us to learn through this pandemic is unconditional love. And we have to each individually assess how we're doing with that. So, at any rate, that's what you owe. And you may meet people in your life who are the Seven of Hearts, and then you would feel particularly triggered by them as well. The Two of Clubs owes you. The Two of Clubs is the conversation card. So that's a card that gives you the natural ability to converse, to communicate on an intellectual level. The Two of Clubs usually has a lot of, intellectual friends or people that they prefer to hang out with. So the Ace of Spades, is drawn to, actually receives from the Two of Clubs, this ability to converse, to intellectualize, to, have friendships and people of its same stature, I guess I would say, in its company. So if you work individually with clients, the two energy is a really good energy to have because you're interacting with one other person. Twos like to be with one other person. In this lifetime, they don't like to be by themselves. And the Ace of Spades is death of the old, beginning of the new. So the Ace of Spades is constantly teaching people, perhaps, how to let go of what's no longer working and move on to something new. So.
I had some other questions. Thank you, Marianne. You're frozen.
I know. She'll come back. What were your questions?
I have 3 questions that I emailed, I think. In numerology, is there ever a time that numbers are subtracted versus added together? You know how
No.
when you add a date, you add the numbers individually of a date. Is there ever a time that you subtract anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I've
Okay, so
never,
it's always
no.
one letter, one number plus the next number.
That's right.
Yeah.
You would do, yes. And then you reduce, when you receive the sum number, then you reduce that large number to 1 digit. So if you had a 36 or a 53, a 53 would be an 8, or a 36 would be a 9. But
Okay.
yeah, you don't subtract. No.
Okay. And then I had 2 more questions. Marianne, I remember that in my reading, you said something about the age 44 when life starts over in the cards. Can you explain a little bit more? What does that mean again?
So age 44 is one of the most difficult years to get through on this plane. It's a chapter that actually is what is called the pre-birth year, P-R-E, birth year. And what that means is age 44 is a review of the 44 chapters that you've been on this earth. So it will go back and show you all the different aspects of your life through the year. I can't tell you how it does that for each person, but it does. If people are looking deeply into it, but it is meant to challenge the individual by saying, okay, these are all the cards, these are all the years, these are all the chapters that you've been on planet Earth. What part of these past 44 chapters do you want to keep? What part do you want to let go? Because age 45 is the rebirth year. So take the P off it, and it's now the rebirth year. So age 45, you get all the cards redealt to you that were dealt to you when you were a baby and you came into this plane on whatever day it was. So the first year of your life, age 0, the cards are the exact same. So my grandson, who was just born a month ago, I haven't done any of his work, but the cards that he was born with will then be repeated exactly at age 45 all over again. Okay. So that essentially means that now at age 45, which is a 9 in numerology, right? So 4 and 5 is 9. Everything that you had been doing and playing, so to speak, up until 44 is now over. And you are getting a new opportunity through this same deal, quote unquote, to play the cards the way you want to play them, because now you're in an adult body, as opposed to when you were 4 weeks old or whatever the case may be, and you had to do everything the way the family of origin asked you to do it. So now at 45, you get to choose with the same cards how you want to play them all over again. So that year, your rebirth year, your cards are all repeated as they were when you were first born. And it's a very, I would want to say, you know, not the rebirth year is not as challenging as the pre-birth year, because the pre-birth year is going to bring up a lot of things that you may not have liked, that you may have been at odds with, that challenged you over the course of your lifetime, that just seemed to come up in some way. Like my oldest daughter and I went down on a trip to Myrtle Beach last year. She was 44. And, you know, it's the first time we had been together without her siblings. From the time, I don't know. I mean, I started having babies when she was 8, and she and I kind of lost each other in the process of all of that busyness. So this was the first time it was just me and her 2 children. But now she's the mother and I'm the grandmother. So the tables have turned, but a lot of things came up on that trip and in the traveling of that trip that, for purposes of time, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the reality is that it's interesting that because she said there was another time she had asked me to visit them when they were on vacation in New Hampshire after that trip, and I couldn't make it. And I remember her saying, well, that's okay, because we still have Myrtle Beach. So that trip to her was, I don't know, some sort of affirmation that I just had you at this time. You had 3 more siblings after me with another man, but this was our time. Almost like those first 8 years before you married your second husband and had all these other children, that was my time. And now this trip was our time. So that was like a microcosm of her life on some level. She got that week with me that was similar to the
Oh, she froze again. Was there another question? We'll wait while she comes back.
8 years
Oh.
that
There you go. We lost a little bit of that.
Okay, what part did you lose?
A microcosm. It was a microcosm in on your trip of her first 8 years with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Her years. That was like going back, and that 1 week was like a microcosm of her first 8 years with me, where like I get to have you all by myself, So that's her Aries also, no other children from any other men, no other, I was only married twice, but I'm just saying, there was no interference. And this was an opportunity for her to go back and do that earlier part of her life with me. So, I just kind of how I look at that sort of thing. But age 44, challenging year for everyone. The cards are meant to ask you to go back and do a Rolodex review of your life. And then 45 starts it all over again. So like, let's say at 47, you're really 2 years old. Okay. 46, you're 1, that sort of thing. 45, you're 0.
Right, but what is that? You will have all this knowledge though. So yes, the cards are what they were when you were 0, 1, and 2, and 3.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a general question for me. Is there any way to know who is my perfect card?
For what? For what? Like
just for compatibility, that kind of thing. I see myself going through life saying this: hi, it's really nice to meet you. When's your birthday?
Good.
Are you kidding me? I do that all the time. People think I'm crazy.
Right. That's
What's your
exactly right. It's funny. I did a reading for, she was a fairly influential person, I'll just leave it at that, in New York on a Zoom call a couple of months ago. And essentially, instead of me really going through the entire report and the reading, she had just recently been divorced, and she just wanted me to go through all the compatibility levels with every possible card so that she would know who she should meet or what, so she could narrow down all these potential suitors.
Right.
And, and it makes sense. So off the top of my head, I would say the 2 of clubs would be, because that's your karma card that you receive from. So that would be a really good card to meet. And the birthday, do you want the birthdays or?
Sure.
Okay.
If it's not too much.
Yeah, May 30th, June 28th, July 26th.
Okay. Great.
5 more.
what are they?
July 20, August 20, September 27th.
We're losing you. So we got July 26th. What was after that?
August 24th,
Yep.
September 22nd, October 20th,
Oh, we found
November-
somebody.
November 18th, and December 16th.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, so Deanna wants to know the karma cards for August 15th.
Okay.
That's one of her sons.
That's my son too. So just like for a
Ooh.
minute. Yeah, just kind of, oh, those jacks in your family, Deanna. You're the jack of hearts and he's the jack of clubs. So the karma cards for the jack of clubs are, why don't I know this right off the top of my head? Jack of clubs owes the jack of diamonds. And it receives from the 10 of hearts. So I remember way back when my son was maybe 16, he was working for a law firm doing IT work, just part-time in Springfield. And after a few months of being there, he had to leave, he had to go back to school. I forget what the issue was, but oh my God, he came home with this cake that was the size of the kitchen that I owned at the time, and it was a huge kitchen. The cake was the whole size of the island. And this card with all these amazing things that people were saying about him. And I was like, are you kidding me? I live with this boy. And I mean, this is not my perception of him, but this was the 10 of hearts perception of him. So the 10 of hearts is the group, is the audience, is the energy that comes in from the world to the jack of clubs saying, you know, you're great. We love you. We're going to support you. So they're usually very supported by a lot of heart energy in their life, by a lot of audience or group participation. They have a following of groups in their life, whether it's friends or family or colleagues or whatever. They owe the jack of diamonds. So any male of the diamond suit, they would owe. Is your husband, I forget what birthday your husband is, Deanna. What is it?
She's muted.
Oh.
So there you go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's Peter's
Yeah.
birthday?
Peter is, so he's 7 of hearts. He's October 28th.
Okay, he's October 28th. He's the 7 of hearts, but then he is also the King of Diamonds.
King of Diamonds, yeah.
Yeah. So he would owe his dad in some ways. There would be karma there because your husband would be, I mean, the Jack and the King are obviously male cards. So your son could potentially owe him, or he might owe if he has brothers or siblings in the family who have a diamond energy
Yeah,
to them.
I think William is, so he's 311. I think he's Queen of Diamonds.
Yes, he is. So
Yeah.
that's right. So and then he would also be the Jack of Diamonds. So he's Queen of 311 is Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Spades, but absolutely his first card would also be, he's a queen in the deck, but the card that he also could operate under would be the Jack, would be the youthful king. You know, so your son, the son who is the Jack of clubs would owe potentially both of them. Any other male of the diamond suit. They also owe, so the energy of the Jack of Diamonds is the salesmanship card, marketing, you know, any kind of public relations. So they might feel that that's an area that they have to work harder in, promoting themselves, or anything having to do with finances or selling themselves in that sort of a way. So all Jack, very youthful energy, creative energy. Jack of clubs, usually very, very bright, a lot of inspiration, a lot of ideas. They can at times enjoy the argument just for the sake of the art of debate, not because they want to be on the other side of the argument, but they like debate. So that's an, you know, I don't know whether it could be considered an asset sometimes a liability, but they do like to debate things. They're usually very bright in that way. So ahead of their time, that sort of thing. So
That's definitely Jacob. Definitely.
Yep,
I just did
yep.
an interview with him yesterday
Oh, really?
on his whole experience with Lyme disease and mold. And he's actually so is he 20, Deanna?
He'll be
20
23
23. Okay.
in
So
August.
yeah, he's actually now recreated a whole career for himself. He went and got certified to be a nutrition and health coach.
Wow.
And now he's basically, working to help other people who went through the same process that he did.
Oh, cool.
So I totally see that.
Wow. Well, there's that, yeah, self-promotion and using himself as the healer because he's healed himself from that whole, yeah. So that would absolutely have to do with the diamonds. They're ahead of their time. I mean, they see the world very futuristically. They kind of have a sense, an innate sense of where things are going. They're mentally very, very, it's called a mentally creative card. So they're very mentally creative. So he's used his wounds and his adversities to create.
Right. And not only that, but in the holistic field, I mean, how many 23-year-olds do we know that are pursuing a holistic career?
Right.
That's not typical.
But look at who his mother is. Right?
Well, okay. So we got to give some credit to Deanna. She might have had some influence there.
You think?
Yeah, just a little bit. But hey, you know what? He could have gone the opposite and completely rejected that and just been like, I know more, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Like my son. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they could either. But see, this is where, that's why it's really difficult to answer a lot of general questions or generalized questions in this field, because this is where the individual soul dynamics of the family system come into play and all of that. So it's not just about what the card is. It's, so Deanna has a completely different relationship, of course she would, with her August 15th son than I do with mine. I mean, it's just so you can't really say, well, because it's this card, it's going to be this way. I mean, I think that he utilized everything that he had, the adversity he had, in a very positive way. And I think that, unfortunately, my son went the other way, where he had a lot of pain in his life, and he used it in an addictive way to kind of get rid of the pain. And then, but that's, that's another whole piece of work. But I think that it's really interesting too that there's, Deanna and her son are both Jacks, which again, royal court energy, and actually, who else is? So your husband knows 7 of Hearts, King of Diamonds, and then the other son. I'm sorry, you just
March
told
11th.
Me.
Yeah, March 11th.
Oh, so there we go. Wow, you got a family of royal court. So your husband's the King of Diamonds. March 11th is the Queen of Diamonds. So March 11th and your husband would, like, maybe in a past life have been married, because the Queen of Diamonds and the King of Diamonds, your son, March 11th, would be very supportive of your husband, perhaps. I mean, the Queen is subservient to the King there. And then the Jack of Clubs and the Jack of Hearts. So you're all in the royal court. So interesting.
Yeah. What are William's karma cards? March 11th.
William is which one? Oh, March 11th. Okay, yep. And that's what I wanted to say. March 11th's second card, which is the Queen of Spades, is Moon to the Jack of Clubs. So March 11th's second card is Moon to his brother's card, the Jack of Clubs. Does that make sense to you, Deanna? So March 11th and August 15th, even though Pisces and Leo is not hugely compatible astrologically, his Queen of Spades would be very supportive of the Jack of Clubs. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I read
Yeah,
it.
they have a very unique relationship. They're both very. I've had, you know, like tennis coach comment to me. You know, they both were competing in the same sport, and yet Jacob was so admiring of William, and William, on the other hand, is, you know, very, very supportive of Jacob, and yeah, they have a very. It's a cool relationship.
That's,
I
yeah,
feel very fortunate.
absolutely. Well, there are all souls that probably all came in together to, you know, complete some chapters, and, you know, it was a level of already worked on compatibility. That's how I look at it. So if you've been together before in other lifetimes, it depends on how much work and how much, you know, kind of, I don't know, smoothing of the stones, so to speak, was done in a previous lifetime together, so that when you come in this lifetime, a lot of the work, quote unquote, or the conflictual dynamics have already been, I don't know, have already been done, have already been addressed. And now you kind of, you know, you're learning from each other on different levels. So that's really nice. So the Queen of Diamonds, which is March 11th, owes the Three of Diamonds and receives from the Nine of Diamonds.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm just trying to think. The Queen of Diamonds is the philanthropist card. So they should own their own business. They're very entrepreneurial. Obama was the Nine of Diamonds. So that idea of they're really good fundraisers. They really know how to, you know, support a business or initiate business. They should own their own business, quite honestly. A lot of times they have, you know, they have very expensive taste, and they like to, they're obviously in the royal court, they're queens, they're service oriented, very creative, very resourceful. They worry about money a lot. But they're also, very analytical. They have critical minds that are very capable of planning and analyzing. You know, they can see through the deceptions of other people, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're the queens, so there's that feminine energy to them also. So they're capable of intuiting. They're not so much up in their head as the king might be. So they're, you know, there's an intuitive ability there.
Come back, come back. I think what she was going to finish that with him being intuitive. That totally sounds like William.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Is he studying law?
No, he's actually a business.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, there
yeah,
you go.
so it's
Yep.
totally, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
my computer is saying is unstable. I
Yeah.
don't know what.
We'll talk. We'll.
Okay.
I have a
We'll
couple
figure it
questions for
out.
you. Yeah, after we get off the call.
Okay.
So what you were saying to Deanna just brought up a question for me that I wanted to clarify. The card on either side of your card. So I'm a 4 of spades. So does that mean that I was in a past life with 3 of spades and 5 of spades?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't have, quite honestly, the knowledge. I don't remember Robert Camp, who's the author of these books and who's brought the system up to date, ever speaking to us about what card or what energy you were necessarily in a past life. It does say past life cards, which means that so if we were to go into a more complex understanding of the system, there's 2 main templates which is the material plane and the spiritual plane. And the cards are all laid out in a certain order on these templates. So 52 cards take a certain position in the spiritual plane. So if the so on the spiritual plane, this template looks like the cards are in perfect order. So the ace of spades, two of spades, three of spades, four of spades are all right next to each other, and they're lined up. So if I know that somebody in this lifetime is the five of spades, and I know that you're the four of spades, Dee, what it tells me is that, oh, the two of you knew each other and were very close in a past lifetime because your cards were right next door to each other. You know, in this lifetime, they're next door. So in this lifetime, the identifying information is that the four of spades and the five of spades are right next door to each other. So I go to the board and I see, oh yeah, these two knew each other before. That's why when they met, they felt a strong connection. But it doesn't mean that because you're the four of spades, you were a three of spades in the last lifetime.
Oh, no. That's not what I was asking.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
asking exactly what you just said. That because I'm a four of spades, not that I think I worded it wrong.
Okay.
How you
Not
answered
that you-
it, right. How you answered is what I meant. That if I meet a three of spades or a five of spades in this lifetime, it means
Right.
that we were in a past life together. It's the
That's
card
it.
right next. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yes.
Yep.
Totally. Yep. Absolutely.
But you answered you answered another, or you brought up another interesting question. So you don't progress along, like next lifetime doesn't mean I'm going to be a five of spades.
No.
Very
Does
interesting.
not. I mean,
Yeah.
it depends, let's face it, it depends on how you do the homework in this lifetime, you know, what you do and what, you know, and then what your soul, when it leaves the body and goes and hangs out on that level of reality that we're not familiar with, that we call the other side, you know, it depends if that soul wants to just turn right back around.
I think what she was going to say is turn right back around and do it all over again.
Again and come, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. The soul. I mean, that's up to the soul. Like, you got it wrong last time. I need to come in. I need to go to this family. I need to live in this part of the world. I need, you know, whatever that happens to be. Those are soul level decisions that happen at a different level of resonance than you and I are at right now that I couldn't even speak to.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. We're never going to have all the answers.
No, we're not. Even though I keep trying to fit those puzzle pieces together, they don't always come together. It's like, it's interesting, you know, I keep trying to go with this whole thing of now being a grandmother, of, okay, so are these little bodies that seem so mysteriously knowledgeable at such a young age, and they're getting more and more knowledgeable to me the more I observe them at my grandmother level. I'm like, okay, is this my ex-husband who passed 10 years ago? Is this, you know, I'm trying to always do that. So, you know, like just a couple of days ago, but this happens all the time, and my children could attest to it more and more. You know, my daughter, my ex-husband who did pass 10 years ago, loved to sail. He loved it. Was always in Newport. It was just his thing. His most favorite song was Sailing by Christopher Cross. I mean, that was his thing. He was the five of diamonds. Never wanted to be in the box. So sailing was freedom to him. So my youngest daughter put up this beautiful sailboat in her infant son's, 4-week-old son's room, and then held up the baby right next to the sailboat on Wednesday of this week, I believe it was, whatever the 14th was Thursday, on 5/14, and it was Sawyer's 1 month old. He was born on 4/14, and this was 5/14. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my God, that's so weird that he's right next to the sailboat and today is a 5 of diamonds day. And that's my ex-husband. Okay, so I'm like, okay, does that mean he is my ex-husband? You know, it's just all of these. And then I look at my granddaughter and she's just so old in so many ways. And it's like, this is just, you know, we marvel at, oh my God, she can count to 10. And well, maybe she counted to 10 4,000 other times in her other lifetimes. And so now this is just a matter of putting the tongue and the brain together, and it's easy for her. I don't know. I just don't have the same belief system about what a baby or a little child is anymore that I used to have when I was just a young mother. Now it's like, I don't know. These children are here for other reasons, and they come from other parts of the universe to teach us. And I don't know. I'm listening and I'm learning. So as I continue to observe, I'll let you know. But there's all kinds of coincidences like that, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
She
that's pretty
could
cool.
have chosen a million other ways to hold the baby up, but it happened to be right next to a sailboat on a 5 of diamonds day. Who was that? Is that my ex-husband? Is that the baby's affinity? Is that why is she? And she didn't have a great relationship with her father, even though she chose to go into oncology once he passed. So it's like, she probably didn't even want to be reminded that that was a 5 of diamonds day. And then I told her the baby's the 7 of diamonds, and the 5 of diamonds and the 7 of diamonds had a very strong soul connection because they're 2 cards apart. So maybe my ex and the baby had some contract and he came in on that day. I mean, who knows? You know, we don't know. We just don't know. Did they know each other from other lifetimes, or did they meet when my ex passed 10 years ago? I don't know. It's all, yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So.
Cool. Deanna, did you have any other questions?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Awesome. Well, we've had another marathon call today.
Oh.
We're at 11:30, so we're going to call it a day.
Okay.
And actually, we just wanted to let everybody know that next weekend is Memorial Day, so we're going to break for a week just in case people have things going on and whatnot. So we will reconvene, I think it's March 30th.
May 30th.
March, jeez. I'm going backwards. Well, we are in retrograde with 4 planets, right? So.
Oh, we are. Big time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so Saturday, May 30th. But I'll send emails out to everybody, so you'll get reminders. So anyway, thank you everybody for being on the call today. Hope everybody has a nice Memorial Day weekend next weekend, wherever you are, and we will see everybody in 2 weeks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.